Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Through installment of Scott's Selections here for Saturday, September 23rd. For again today's play of the day, quick recap what happened yesterday. We had a nice winner in German soccer with Stuttgart and Darmstadt over 3 goals at -125 on Bet Online. Was almost a really bad beat for a push, but eventually we got there. You had 3 goals in the first 32 minutes, so we needed one more goal in the final 50 plus minutes. Took till stoppage time, but eventually we got it. Stuttgart broke through as they won the game 3-1. So match landed 4. Look for the winner here on Saturday. And for today's play today, going to college football, going to look at a Big 12 matchup between Oklahoma State and Iowa State taking place at around 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And for this one, we're going to take a quarter play. Going to go with the first quarter under 7.5 points at -135 on DraftKings. Time recording of 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Covering why we're going to take the first quarter under 7.5 in this game. First reason is the actual line differential between DraftKings and other books. DraftKings went rogue. It's the only book that has a number over 7 for the first quarter. And of course, with 7 being a pretty key number there, with a touchdown being a push in that case, and still giving you the win with a 7-0 score with the 7.5. I do think, once again, it is worth laying a bit more juice for the extra half point. But to go through the full game total in this game, it has dropped, and it was already pretty low. It opened up at 37. Now it's down to 35.5. Now, there's a couple reasons why this total has dropped. First reason, both offenses are really bad. I'll get into that in a second. The main reason, the reason that I want to take this under is the weather. The weather in Iowa State is supposed to be really brutal to play in, and I'm going to take advantage of it. So to go through the weather projected at Jack Trice Stadium for the first quarter, 14-mile-per-hour winds with 33-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and there might be some rain. So I do expect both teams to struggle offensively early on in this game. I think you'll see each team be very careful with the football early on, trying to adjust to the overall conditions. And as a result, I expect a pretty vanilla game plan for both teams early on until maybe they figure some things out and maybe take some shots later in the game. But looking at the actual numbers offensively for both teams in the first quarter this season, Oklahoma State has played 2 games against FBS competition. They have scored a total of 0 points in the first quarter. Iowa State has played 2 games against FBS competition as well this season. They have also scored 0 points in the first quarter. So once again, both teams have been useless at actually getting offense actually accomplished in the first 15 minutes of their games. And I expect a pretty similar story here in bad conditions on Saturday. But to go through the actual offensive numbers for these teams, both teams in terms of yards per game are also really brutal. Iowa State is averaging 280.5 yards per game, which ranks 111th in the nation. It's actually the better mark in this matchup because Oklahoma State is averaging 256 yards per game, which ranks 120th. So neither team can move the ball in the entire game, let alone the first quarter. But to go through the actual numbers offensively for these teams last week, you saw Iowa State score 7 points against Ohio, and they ended up losing that game. That score was 0-0 at halftime. And to go through the actual game here for Oklahoma State, they scored 7 points at home against South Alabama. Now, South Alabama is actually a decent team, but anytime you're a Power 5 school against a Group of 5 school at home, you better score more than 7 points. The point is both teams can't score, and I do think you're going to see a rock fight break out for the entire game. This really might be a race to 14 game wins. It wouldn't shock me with the bad weather. You might see a 14-10 type of game. But still, the point is I think that this total in the first quarter is too high. Trying to think of the overall game plan for both offenses. They're probably going to try to run the ball. Oklahoma State is okay at running the ball. They're averaging 118.7 rushing yards per game, which is not great. But Iowa State is currently in the bottom 15 in rushing yards per game. They can't run the ball. So I do expect Iowa State to struggle because the passing game might be compromised with the weather and they can't run the ball. So I think what you're going to see in the first 15 minutes is a pretty ugly slugfest between these teams. A lot of punts and a lot of running clocks. Play that once again here for Saturday, September 23rd is going to be on Oklahoma State and Iowa State. First quarter under 7.5 points at -135 on DraftKings. Bye, everyone.